Okay, let's get cracking. So welcome back, GIS programming. Looking currently at our GitHub repository here. So let's go into content and let's get down to lecture number 2. So this is dev setup. Actually, I'm on the wrong one. Disregard the Monday, Wednesday, Fridays if you're in the online class. So if you're in the online class, your schedule looks like the same, but just different day structure. All right, so we are on lecture number 2, which is dev setup. So there are some challenging bits to programming anything. The most challenging part of programming is getting your first program to run. So that means getting your development environment set up properly. So no matter what language you are working in, this is the hardest part. So it's just getting your computer prepared to be able to write programs. Once you have it set up once, you can then program a lot more easily because everything is like in the places it's supposed to be. You have the correct versions of the software that you need, all that kind of stuff. So this process sucks real bad, but once you do it one time, you shouldn't have to set up your computer again. When you wipe your computer and get a new computer, you will have to do it again. It is something that you will have to do when you roll up to a new computer that you've never programmed with before. But it's kind of painful, but after you do it the first time, it gets easier. But this is actually one of the hardest parts of programming. So after you've done this, like, you are well on your way to being a GIS programmer. So first part of being able to program for GIS is installing ArcGIS Pro. So if you're using a lab machine or a VM, Pro should already be installed. But if I were you, I would prefer to program on my own computer rather than having to remote desktop into something at Texas A&M, because you can do all of this programming from your own computer. You do not, like, there's nothing special about our Texas A&M computers that you need in order to use or to do GIS programming. And for me, like, I would strongly recommend that you just use your own computer, either at home or your laptop or your work computer or whatever. Because having to remote desktop into another computer in order just to do the GIS programming is like an extra step that is totally unnecessary. As long as you have the same version of ArcGIS Pro installed, which is like the latest version, so just click upgrade and you'll have the latest version, then you're good. Like, there is absolutely nothing special about our computers which we give you that is any different than your computer that you're probably currently sitting at. Other than your computer might not have ArcGIS Pro installed. As a student of Texas A&M, you are allowed to install ArcGIS Pro on any computer that you use. Esri provides an educational site license to us, which means that every student at Texas A&M University can have access to ArcGIS Pro for free, and you can use it on all of your computers. If you're at home, go crazy and install this on your desktop or laptop. If you're at work, wink, wink, don't use it for work. Only use it for educational purposes. But if you're planning on doing like all of your programming after work or whatever, go ahead and install it. So there's nothing special about this install process. It's basically regular click, 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 click your way through, and then you're done. So ArcPy, amongst the development environment setups, is gonna suck, but it's not as bad as other ones. So React Native is awful. That's for doing mobile programming. We have a separate class on GIS mobile programming that I'm super happy to share with anybody if you'd like to learn how to do that. It's also in GitHub. We just need to add you to the repository. That one is a real bitch. This one for ArcPy, less so. Visual Studio, kind of up there with React Native, like kind of sucks real bad. But what we're going to do for ArcPy with ArcGIS Pro and Visual Studio Code, which is a different editor than Visual Studio, is not too bad. We have a Slack channel that you should ask for help on if needed. There's also discussion boards. So once the link for what is Slack works, you'll see that we have a Slack channel. This is what Slack looks like. So for this class, Slack is Tamu Geog 676. Your instructor will be adding you here. And when you send a message here, it's like chat. Good thing about it is you can send code, you can send links, you can send images, you can do phone calls through here, you can do group chats through here, you can do group phone calls through here. So currently on here are myself, Aaron, who's one of the people helping develop the course, and Dr. Lyle, who's teaching one version of the course this semester. So Slack is a really good way to communicate with each other. You can direct message people, or you can send it to the group. At the bottom of every page, not yet, because we don't have any errors to report, there's like a common errors section, which will include the common errors that other people have run into. So if you find an error as you're doing this, tell somebody, so that way we can document it and we can write, if you experience this error, do this thing. So your computer might have something a little bit weird or whatever, or particularly once you start programming more complex things, you might run into a problem. So when you run into a problem, tell us, so that way we can document it and say for everybody else, if you run into this problem, here's the solution. So this lecture is installing ArcGIS Pro. Like, it is not complicated. So you have to have an Esri account, number one. You have to be part of the Texas A&M organization, number two. So what is the Texas A&M organization? It is tamu.maps.arcgis.com. When we go here, it's going to ask you to log in. We, the instructors, have to create your account in here, and you're currently, because we don't have it integrated with SSO. We will eventually. But your account name is going to be your net ID. Instead of @tamu.edu, it is _tamu. This is a separate account from your Texas A&M account, which means it's not integrated with SSO, single sign-on, but we will be working on that, so that way you only have one account you need to keep track of. So this is currently a separate account that we, meaning myself, Andrew Klein, Sierra Ladisaw, who's the GIS map librarian, or one of the campus administrators has to create for you. So you have to have this account in order for ArcGIS Pro to know that you are part of Texas A&M University. So we, the administrators, can see this organization tab, which is the list of all the users. All right, so if I search for Klein, I see that he's in here. He is currently an admin. So we have to make your account in here, and then we have to also give you access to ArcGIS Pro. So ArcGIS Pro is managed inside of arcgis.com, so ArcGIS Online, by us, the administrators. So we have to create your account, then we have to give you access to licenses, right? So Andrew currently has Pro plus all extensions. So start of every semester, this should be done in advance for you. If you snuck through the cracks somehow and it's not done, you just got to email one of us. You'll see in a second how to know if it's not done. And then once your account is enabled in Tamu ArcGIS Enterprise and you have Pro checked that you're allowed to use it, then when you download Pro, you'll be able to log in to it. Without all these steps, it will just keep pumping back to you saying, can't log in, can't log in, can't log in. Super annoying. So if you're using an A&M VM or lab machine, this will already be done. This is instructions for your home computer, desktop, laptop, or your work computer, desktop, laptop. So you can find the downloader here. So how do you get the software? It's gonna make you have an Esri account for this bullshit as well. Like, by the end of this semester, you're gonna have 4 different Esri accounts. I don't understand why. It's probably gonna bring up this thing. Like, you got a request from, like, the Esri account management is real bad. So there's also a Google Drive link that we have that I will replace that with. So let me just write that down of things to do. Replace ArcGIS Pro download link with Google Drive link. Yeah, because you don't want to have to do all this crap. Eventually, you will want to do this because you want to do all the fancy stuff that you can do, but not right now. Right now, you're just trying to get ArcGIS Pro installed. So go get ArcGIS Pro installer, and then click next your way through, right? So where do you want it installed? Wherever it does it. Like, you don't really care. Unless you have like a special setup for your computer where you have a D drive that you like all your programs on. Like, install it wherever you want, or if you don't care, just do what it says. It's going to tell you exit all your Windows programs. You don't really need to do that. Like, it doesn't make any difference, but go ahead if it makes you feel better. This will be checked by default. Install ArcGIS for everybody, not just you. Like, there's no reason you would ever want to do just for you. So this will be checked by default. So just go ahead and do that. Where do you want it to be installed? Great. That place looks good. And then after it is finished and runs, then it's going to ask you, after it's installed, do you want to run ArcGIS? Sure. And then the fun begins. So the first time that you fire up ArcGIS Pro, it's going to bring you to a page that makes you try to sign in. So there are actually 2 things happening here. There's your My Esri sign in up here, and then there's your Tamu sign in down here. So you, as a regular off-the-street user of ArcGIS Pro, are not going to have access to it. So if you use your My Esri account, it's going to say not enabled. So you have to click this button that says Enterprise Login whenever you want to log in. Then it's going to ask you for what.maps.arcgis.com, and yours is tamu.maps.arcgis.com. And then you're going to sign in with the exact same username and password that you used to log into, damn, I gotta log out. Log out. That you used to log into tamu.maps.arcgis.com. So this is going to be your netid _tamu no@edu. So confusing part about logging in and getting set up is not so bad. After you log in the first time, you basically never have to log in again because it remembers you. Sorry, there's a helicopter going overhead. So once you log in, it's going to tell you that you are now signed in. This links you to our portal, like the Texas A&M portal for pushing your data to and all that kind of good stuff. You can sign out if you wish. I don't usually ever sign out. Once you are set up, you need to make sure that your version of ArcGIS Pro is correct. Primarily to make sure that your version of Python is correct. I believe the version of ArcGIS Pro that we are going to be using is 2.1, like when we recorded this and got this whole course set up. So how do you know if it's ArcGIS Pro 2.1? When you fire up ArcGIS Pro, it's going to have this stuff on the right, this stuff on the left, or this button down here, About. and it'll tell you your version 2.1 something. So major version 2, minor version 1, revision 3 is the latest one as of this recording. So if you have this 2.1 dot something, you should already have Python installed for you, which is good. You just have to make sure that if you don't have this version 2.1.3, you upgrade, because everything that we're going to do is going to require at least this version. Next thing is to open up the Python manager, which is after you click finish this stuff and click the back button, it will bring you to here. Then after you make a project, there's a ribbon item called Home, which includes this thing called Python right there. So if you're familiar with using ArcMap, the hardest part of moving to ArcGIS Pro is just going to be where is all the things that I used to know where they are. That will frustrate you to no end for about a week until you figure out where everything is, and then you'll be good. So it's painful and it sucks, but you'll figure it out. Everything that you ever wanted to do inside of ArcMap is available inside ArcGIS Pro, except the ability to build a routing network. But everything else that you would ever want is in there. Let me make sure we're still recording because I don't want to have to do this again. Yes, perfect. So everything you want is in there. You just got to figure out how to find it. So this is where Python is. It sucks, but you'll figure it out. And we need to make sure that our Python environment is using ArcGIS Pro Python 3. Perfect. If you installed this version of ArcGIS Pro, that will have been installed for you, so you're good to go. And you just need to make sure the next thing is that we want to add the package ArcGIS. So you remember how we were doing in the last lecture, package management. So ArcPy is the package that Esri produces and makes available for doing Esri stuff. So we also talked about NumPy, SciPy, Geoda, all the different types of Python packages. ArcPy is just like any other package that you need to install. So to do that, we click on Add Package. We type in ArcGIS. It's going to search and find the one, give you some details over here, and then you're going to click Yes, that one. If you needed, for whatever reason, to bring some natural language processing into ArcGIS, you would click Add Package and you would do that thing. If you needed SciPy, you would do Add Package, you would do that thing. If you needed NumPy, you would do Add Package, you would do that thing. So once this is done, you are basically done with ArcGIS Pro setup. So key thing to remember is when you sign in, you need to click this Enterprise Login button. So that way you log in using your Texas A&M credentials and privileges. Other key thing is make sure that your version of ArcGIS Pro is at least 2.1 something, and then make sure that you have ArcPy installed, which is by installing ArcGIS. So with that, you're mostly good to go. Unfortunately, this is the easy part of getting your development environment set up. We'll see the more challenging part in the next lecture, but you are well on your way. Okay, so that's it. Let me end this.